If you're not uncomfortable, if you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, then you're not growing. There's always need for more competition, right? It drives innovation. Every touch point, every time somebody hears the word Viking, every time that we're in front of people is another opportunity to share what we're doing and share how much progress we're making and the innovations we're making in the industry.
What's the inspiration for starting the show?
It's a valuable way for us to humanize our business. I could talk for hours and hours and days about the team we have and the people that make up Viking and what makes Viking tick, giving those folks the platform to get out there and introduce themselves to the industry. The oil and gas community is all about connections. You can get so much out of a 20-30 minute conversation that you never knew before. There's a lot of noise out there. As long as you've got a purpose that you're chasing and a reason you're waking up every day, it's all going to work out for the best. You're going to hear a lot more from Viking Power Technologies in the very near future.
Nick, Viking Roundtable, episode 1.
Yes, sir.
How does it feel to be in the studio?
We're here. Let's see what we can do with it.
So I want to cover the history of Viking, your vision, mission for the future. But first off, I want to start at the beginning. When you first started the company back in 2021, the initial group of founders.
Yep.
What were those early days like in the beginning?
A lot of excitement, a little trepidation, but knew from past experience in the power section business that things had changed a little bit. So trying to figure out different and innovative ways to make our mark in the industry. But really excited. As soon as I got the phone call from Life Cybersyn, our CEO, knew that's where I needed to be. Our family was up in Denver at the time and had some other opportunities, but this one truly got me excited. So.
And where did the name Viking come from?
I think Life's been trying to name a company for a long time. And so obviously with his heritage and background, Viking was kind of the first name he threw out. We threw out about 150 other names and Viking is what we landed on. When the boss says something, that's kind of what we go with. But it's really turned into its own brand and it's been really good for us.
And Viking is in the blood.
Absolutely.
Across the team now.
That's right.
So back in those early days, what were some of the issues that Viking came into existence to solve? Like what was wrong with the power section industry at the time? Look,
there's always need for more competition, right? It's good to get in and provide service in a different way for one. It drives innovation. It allows not only ourselves but our competition to kind of sharpen the sword, to use a Viking term, I guess. Getting into the power section industry is difficult from a couple different aspects. Time is a big thing. The machinery that we use to inject stators, the machinery that we use to mill rotors, long lead times on that, obviously cost is a big thing. So when we got the opportunity, when Life and his team saw that the Roper assets were available, it was kind of a no-brainer. He had done it once or twice before, so always looking to get back into the game. So just a matter of figuring out what the customers need and ultimately be problem solvers for them.
And back in those early days, Viking and Prime were established, and you like you said, you acquired assets. So you weren't starting from scratch. You had like a base to build from. What kind of like advantage did that give you in the beginning?
Immediate start. I mean, the day that we announced that Viking was up and running and that we'd be relining stators and producing rotors, I got a phone call from some clients that I had dealt with in the past and had built a relationship with, and they immediately sent in the first order. So had we started from scratch, it would have been a year to 18 months that we'd have been waiting on equipment and setting up facility and training people and all that sort of thing. So though we got some assets from Roper, I think the biggest thing we got was the people. There are 8 original guys that stayed with the company, and they are the heartbeat of our operations today.
And over time, like as Viking has evolved, have your values stayed true and the same throughout the years?
Absolutely. I mean, last year we went through a bit of a difficult time. We had a manufacturing issue that was identified after a couple months. And as we were thinking about how to approach our customers, how to fix it, how to do this, we kind of pulled up our website. One of the first things that we did was develop the website, and transparency was one of the words that we used as a founding principle of the company. And so once we identified the issue, we jumped on it. We let our customers know. We did everything we could to make it right. Since July of last year, the results speak for themselves. We've like I said, we identified the issue, corrected it, and tried to make it right with our customers. So I would say yes, our core values have remained the same. If anything, they've expanded a little bit. A vision of producing a competitor to what was out there to, our ultimate goal is to be the #1 power section company in the world.
And how do you get there?
Innovation, a lot of luck. I truly believe the right people is the #1 key ingredient. over the last 5 years, we've done a really good job of making sure that we have the right people in the organization and in the right spot, but then also giving them a chance to flourish, right? It's one thing to have a bunch of good employees that are told what to do, but your company takes a whole nother step when they're given the freedom to chase their own ideas and really try to innovate.
How do you give them the platform to like grow into their like potential within the team? Like what's like the culture within the company for letting the team grow and like expand their skill?
A lot of that has to do with challenging them. When I first graduated from college, I got into coaching and asking people what they want, and really listening to that is a big part of it, right? Because there's some people that, hey, I just want to do this, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be good at it, and that's it. And then there's other folks that truly want to spread their wings a little bit further than they've ever been allowed to. So having that conversation and having a little open dialogue and understanding who are your innovators and who are your doers, and it's important to have the right mix of innovators and doers, and knowing that people's roles and people's identities change throughout time, and kind of continuing that conversation and allowing folks to chase their potential.
Do you think as a leader, like in sports teams, like people managers manage people's personalities like different? Do you do that as a leader? Do you manage people like where they're at instead of?
You absolutely have to, right?
Yeah.
Whether it be challenging folks in an upfront manner or leading them to water rather than telling them, hey, go find the water, right?
Yeah.
There's just different personalities, different mentalities, reading a lot of different leadership books and studying different leaders and understanding that the way I talk to Rory might not be the way that I talk to, one of the guys on the shop floor or one of the ladies in the office. You have to be adaptable. And it's the hardest thing about being a leader, is because I know what makes me tick. But that doesn't necessarily translate to everybody that works for us.
And Nick, one year ago, you stepped into, I think maybe just less than a year, you stepped into the role of president of Viking. What's that transition been like over the past year? And like, what's your vision now that you've stepped into the role?
It's been a lot. It's been challenging. It's been a lot of anxious nights, a lot of anxious days, but ultimately it's been rewarding. I've learned a ton about myself. I've learned a ton about the people that work here and what kind of talent we have. So ultimately, it's been a great experience. There were days, and there still are days that you might ask that question and get a different answer. But I think being able to adapt and lean on my faith and my family and the support system that I have has been a huge part of making this work.
And when it comes to marketing, I think as an industry, it's typically it's the last thing that's on the line item list, and people in the industry have tend to leave marketing on the table. But I think from the start you've been a big supporter and fan of marketing.
Yeah.
And now you're starting this podcast. I'd love to hear your philosophy about marketing as it comes, like as president of Viking, and then also just some of the inspiration for starting this show and the goals for this series.
Yeah, I tell my people on the team and especially my kids all the time, if you're not uncomfortable, if you're not putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, then you're not growing. If you're always comfortable, you're not growing. So a lot of the stuff we do in the marketing is not necessarily what everybody else is doing, but every touch point, every time somebody hears the word Viking, every time that we're in front of people is another opportunity to share what we're doing and share how much progress we're making and the innovations we're making in the industry. So for me, getting the Viking brand out there and letting people know we're here and we're here to stay is a big deal, right? So there's a lot of different approaches to it. The team at Midnight Marketing and Tim have been awesome for me as far as mentoring me through it and pushing some of the boundaries that I have, because there are certain things that I've been hesitant about, or even the podcast itself. I think listening to different folks and watching podcasts, listening to the podcasts, I feel like you either get on now or you're going to be left behind. And so it's a valuable way for us to humanize our business. And I think that's the biggest thing. I could talk for hours and hours and days about the team we have and the people that make up Viking and what makes Viking tick, giving those folks the platform to get out there and introduce themselves to the industry, while still maintaining a breakneck pace at the office is I think that's one of the more valuable things about podcasts is really humanizing who we are at Viking.
I think there's like so many unsung heroes like inside a company that never get a platform to speak and get a light like shone on them, and a podcast is like the perfect way to get that out. And there's just so many people on the team that they might be shy, but once they get out and they come out of their shell, like you said, getting uncomfortable, and
for sure
the opportunities that will come out of that are huge and massive. And you mentioned Tim. just recently escaped the studio, but we're going to make sure he gets.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to get him on a podcast.
He says episode 100, but we'll make sure it's in the first 10.
We'll see about that.
Just looking ahead, Nick, what are some of your future visions in the next 5 years? I know you just recently you raised some capital, you're ready to grow, you're in a new area, like 5 years. Now, Viking.
So 5 years in, it's nothing but foot on the gas, right? We're looking at some expansion opportunities, getting into different geo markets, which will be huge for us. What we're doing on the shop floor and what the team has put together as far as quality control processes and innovation. Utilizing AI and what we're doing, really innovating and taking out as much. What's the term I'm looking for? I guess data entry, rather than allowing taking away all the excess that takes away from the actual job.
Manual work.
Yeah, absolutely. So our team has done an incredible job of making an in-house app that is going to change the game for us. It already has made tremendous strides in what we're doing.
How does the app work?
It is literally, we're saving trees. We're getting rid of paper. So it's a very manual process what we do, but it allows, step by step, every step in the process throughout the time we receive a stator or a rotor to the time it goes out to the door of the customer. It's digitally tracked, and it's going to be every step that needs to be done. You can't go on to step 2 without finishing step 1. So it's an incredible innovation that the team has literally done in-house. We started out with using some outside contractors and decided to pull it in-house ourselves. And since we've pulled it in-house and put the necessary focus on it, the growth of it has been tremendous. Kyle Hennigan, one of our engineers, has done a tremendous job. Danielle Walker and our technology team have really grown it and really taken the bull by the horns and made it theirs. And it's going to be something that takes Viking to the next level for sure.
And for a customer, like how does it make their job like?
It's going to make their job easier. In conjunction with the internal app, we're developing a customer portal that allows our customers to have 24 access to see where their components are. Turnaround time is huge in this industry, and the availability to see where their components are and when they're going to get them back is vital to their business. So without having to pick up the phone and make a phone call and then wait for somebody to go track down a part and do that very manually, they'll have access on their phone to be able to track their part 24/7 whenever they need it, be able to pull up their COCs, see any information that they need to get from Viking. It'll be available on their phone.
It just went off now, but we've been hearing in the background just a slight little hum in the background. There we go. There it comes again. That's your Weingarter.
The Weingartners are rotor milling machines that we use, as well as FS machine, and so we have 6 fully functional machines, and they're running full bore right now. We've got a lot going on with some of the expansion that we're doing, with also a lot of customer orders that have come over the last couple months, which has been really good to see. And so we're just trying to stay ahead of the curve and always be prepared for what's next.
So having that in-house manufacturing capability, as well as speed, transparency, those are like the core pillars that you think are going to set this like next phase of growth.
Absolutely. Our engineering team and the way that they design power sections, the way that they're strictly maintained, the quality that we are demanding of ourselves, just the fact that we're ISO certified, all of those things go into being differentiating factors in the power section game. And our team is second to none. I'd take them to battle any day. And we're continuing to push the envelope of what's possible in the power section game. And like I said, over the last, since July of last year, the results kind of speak for themselves as far as what we've done and what we're going to continue to do going forward.
I think it's a very competitive industry, especially power sections. How do you like really outcompete?
So I think one of the big things is customer service and reactivity, right? We need to be responsive to our customers. We need to know the answer. We need to be quick with a solution. Every time we drill a well, there's always a new problem that pops up, and whether it's more speed, more power, more torque, whatever it may be, we've got to provide that. What you're seeing in the industry today is laterals are extending. We're going from we went from drilling holes straight down to now we're drilling 4-mile laterals. So, operators want power section that lasts for that entire time. We're constantly innovating. We're working on 2 different elastomers right now to introduce to the market to chase that longevity, to chase that reliability, to continue to separate ourselves. So, innovation and customer service are 2 things that we hang our hat on and that will continue to separate us from the industry.
And then, like you said, the team of Viking warriors.
Absolutely.
The ones that are going to go into battle, make you win.
Yep.
I think it's very fitting for this series. I think we had some great conversations yesterday and last week about the name of the show, and Viking Roundtable really plays into that.
For sure.
People first aspects. And I really liked one of the things you mentioned, like connections is a huge part. Like you wanted to really bring that aspect to the show. So yeah, I would love to hear more about like how important connections are, not only for Viking, but also like personally and
yeah. I mean, for
life.
me, like the oil and gas community is all about connections, right? I mean, I didn't when I first got in the oil and gas community, I didn't know anything about oil and gas. It was I just got done with my master's degree and had an opportunity to go work for Pathfinder in Louisiana, and I was buffing and painting subs on the shop floor and learning something new. Throughout that time, I've grown our family, and from a personal side, we ran into some health challenges and started our own nonprofit organization, and that nonprofit organization is funded 95% by oil and gas. We've got a golf tournament coming up that is competitors are showing up to, customers are showing up to. It's just grown into something special, and that's all about the connections in the oil and gas community. And because of the opportunities I've been afforded, through those connections, I think highlighting some of the folks within the Viking team and giving them that opportunity, because just because my story's out there doesn't mean it's any more important than anybody else's. It's just one of those stories. And so just knowing what connections and what that has done for my career, I'd like to afford that to some of the special people at Viking. And look, I'd love to have customers on and vendors of ours and all that. It's just, I think it's you can get so much of it out of a 20-30 minute conversation that you never knew before.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the technology exists because of the people. So it's people first all the time.
Without a doubt.
Last off, Nick, I think it's very fitting if we ended on a Friday freebie, since your relationship with video started off with these Friday freebie videos. So I think it'll be a great way to finish off. What's your Friday freebie for today?
Man, I would say this. When we shut the door and Josh said we're closing off to the outside world, there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of noise out there, and it's my belief that you have to have something to lean on, whether that's your faith, your family. For me, it's my faith and my family. But all of this stuff is very temporary. As long as you've got a purpose that you're chasing and a reason you're waking up every day, it's all going to work out for the best. And for me, it's a good Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and it's something for me that through the last year, I don't know that I would have continued to show up to work every day. But ultimately, it's in His hands, and there's a bigger place for us, and just. And I guess with all that being said, there's very few things in this life that we can control. And I've said it before, you probably on the Friday freebies, I'm sure, but your attitude is one thing that you can control. And so go into every opportunity with an open mindset, with a positive mindset, and good things usually work out. So
well, Nick, it's an honor and a pleasure to help you launch this platform, this first show, first episode. Like, I'm super excited for how this show is going to grow and evolve. And yeah, would love to give you the opportunity to just speak into the camera and say where people can find more about Viking and the Viking Roundtable.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for pushing me outside of my comfort zone, getting me getting us involved in this. I think it's going to be a huge platform for a lot of people. And ultimately, if we're not impacting people in a positive way, then what are we doing it for, right? And so you've definitely impacted me in a positive way, and I think this is going to be a huge thing. But you can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us. Our website is vikingpt.com. Most industry events for big proponents of the Oilfield Helping Hands, IADD, Mud Motor Forum will be there, but you're going to hear a lot more from Viking Power Technologies in the very near future, and we're going to continue to innovate and continue to change the game. So stay tuned.